Hello, hello, hello.
Hey, can you guys hear me on the call? Brody, I'm gonna punch you in the face, you little stupid looking.
Okay, I can hear myself now. All right. Morning, everyone. Let's kick it off. Last night's session in the States, another little grind higher. Looked again at the beginning of the day like we were going to correct. Uh, and again, the market just started giving us that quarter point grind higher every 10 minutes until finally we started to get above flat line. And from there, I think just drift up a bit. I think the reason why we're seeing the same sort of pattern is that everyone's waiting for a correction. So everyone kind of gets short early on, says today, it's today the day, and then it doesn't come. Everyone's stuck covering, and then you got a couple guys adding the longs and whatever, and it just drifts up from there. A little bit lighter on the volume after that point. Um, we did have some more data out yesterday. Jobless claims numbers again come out better than expected. The data in the states just absolutely killing it. We just like I said, we continue to just see brilliant data out of the states. What was the real interesting piece that happened yesterday was the ECB. Mario Draghi started speaking. Markets really started to build after he started speaking, trading up nicely. They mentioned that every single member voted in favor of additional stimulus if needed, and those sort of comments really got things going. I mean, we went from most markets being flat in Europe to the German market being up 1.5%, the FTSE being up almost 1%. And then both those markets really failed, and actually both dipped their toe into negative territory with maybe 45 minutes left to go in the session. What's interesting about that is typically when you get a hard reversal like that off of the top, you usually get continuation with it, and we didn't get any yesterday. And I think a little bit of that was because the states just kind of turned around, and started to drift higher, and everybody else just kind of went with it. So it was quite you don't see markets correct 1.5% like that, only to kind of just drift back up to finish 0.5% up on the day. That's not something that is real common. So I think today it's going to be interesting to see if there's any follow through there out of Europe, and anything exciting going on there. All right. This morning at Asia, all the markets were higher. Really, Australia was actually the best of the day. Actually, mining stocks kind of turned the corner and leading things a little bit. I noticed this morning, on a lot of the Elliott Wave stuff that they're mentioning a lot of these mining stocks kind of look like they're turning. The pattern's turning a little bit more bullish, and I think that a couple days ago when we did make that low in the oil price, that we did put in some sort of short-term bottom. I don't think that this downward move is over yet in mining stocks. I'm obviously probably quite biased, but I don't believe that it's over simply because of the fact that these kind of long term moves that you get like this are typically finished with a real capitulation move, and we haven't seen that yet. So I think we're going to have to see that before you can kind of call a bottom in the mining stocks. All right, charts of interest again this morning out of Charlie Bilello, the dollar index really attempting at a very significant level, and this has really been a major driver in the market. The scary thing is that we were at a period about 2 or 3 years ago where every day when the dollar was weakening, the market was just loving it. They were very happy. The market traded well because the dollar was weakening, because it meant that the Fed was going to be around and was going to be stimulating the economy and yada, yada, yada. And now we're getting this ridiculous dollar strength, the biggest dollar strength that we've seen in ages, and this is really turning into a hell of a rally, and markets are rallying every day on dollar strength. So it's really interesting how that's turned. I don't think that lasts for that much longer, because eventually the dollar strength will start to put a little bit of pressure on the U.S. markets and in turn everywhere else. Obviously, a lot of that's happening because the QE programs are over. We're also seeing obviously the U.S. Economy outperforming, and so you're starting to see bond yields rising in the states. So I think that there's a group of those things that we're going to need to follow to kind of give us clues on going forward. But at the moment, it's quite spectacular to see us rally now along with the dollar in total contradiction to what was happening only a couple of years ago. All right. This morning we had Richemont light on headline earnings per share, but more or less in line with revenue. Net income number actually looks quite soft. I think this number is definitely a little bit soft. Just looking at some of the commentary coming across on my Bloomberg terminal here, we've got talking about negative impact out of Macau, and they've mentioned some other things from the slowdowns in China. It does say that the slowdown is easing in China at the moment, which I think is probably a little bit of a bullish thing for them. But definitely a little bit soft. We'll show that chart in just a little bit. We've also got Berkshire Hathaway later today in the States. What was one of the big things that happened overnight that Moody's downgraded South Africa from Baa1 to Baa2. Credit outlook revised to stable from negative. So it's funny that we got a downgrade, but the credit outlook was revised to stable, whatever that means. Obviously, but that put a lot of pressure on the rand last night. That's one of the reasons why futures market opening up so strong this morning, not just because of everything else, but because a lot of the injection that the dual listeds would have got from the weak rand. All right. This morning we've got German industrial production, we've got the German trade balance, we've got French industrial production, French manufacturing production, U.S. change in non-farm payrolls, and unemployment rate. So obviously the non-farm payroll is the big number, but I think keep an eye on the stuff as well, as it's been very important of late. All right, let's get into the maps. First thing we'll have a look at is MTN, which you can see here. Yesterday, I didn't get a great explanation for why this thing got so hammered yesterday. Obviously, Nigeria was under real pressure, and the Nigerian naira was down about 2.2% on the day. And I understand that will have some impact on MTN, but to the scale that it sold off yesterday, it just doesn't make that much sense to me. We had been, we've been in this range that we'd been talking about from, kind of like 233 on a closing basis, but even 231 intraday, all the way up to 246, and it had been really, really consistent. Yesterday we ripped well below it. So I think we've got to look here a little bit more in terms of what's going on long term. We're also coming into some real trend support as well, which is right here on the 200-day moving average, which I think is something to look at. That's not far below here. That's only down around the 224 level. So I think yesterday's maybe a little bit overdone. We'll have to see how the market settles in today there, but it was real heavy. It's definitely dropped significant support, and I think that it does need to come a little bit lower maybe to test. But I think coming down around 200-day here, maybe in this trend support line around 224, it's probably a nice area for us to get down to and find a bottom. So just watch that closely. Maybe somewhere between this very important 220 level and 224 would probably be a really nice risk range out of MTN. All right, Steinhoff. Let's have a look here. Steinhoff dropped the all-important 56 level, so that's obviously a very, very clear line in the sand. That 56 level, we broke up above it about 4 or 5 sessions ago. We just gave it up slightly yesterday, underperforming quite a bit, and we'll have to watch and see how it trades around this level. But if we get back below it, I think it's quite a negative for Steinhoff. The other one that went absolutely crazy yesterday was Tiger Brands. Now Tiger Brands, if we look a little bit of a longer-term chart, so we had this real significant range that we were working out. I don't know how the best way to draw this thing is. I wouldn't even draw it like that probably. Let's go into it a little bit closer. Yeah, I mean, either way, it definitely broke out. I mean, there's a lot of consolidation here. It took out the highs. Either way, you can really look at this in several different ways. But I think we definitely maybe broke out here. This little rising channel consolidated above it a little bit, and then took off. So I think we more or less reached our target as of yesterday's highs. So. But I think caught a lot of guys short. I think there are a lot of people short of this one, and wouldn't be surprised to see this thing continue up a little bit higher as guys caught on the wrong side of what is quite a thin stock actually. All right, CFR. We talked about this one a second ago. Earnings today definitely looking a little bit soft. It has a little bit of an inverse head and shoulder going on there. We looked like we were kind of failing that the other day. I think that I would put the support level down here around $91 and a breakout on the upside above 93 on the inverse head and shoulder. So we're kind of narrowing down to what I think will initially give us our next real significant move in CFR. So watch that above 93 or below 91. I think there could be some action there out of CFR. All right. And the last one that we'll look at this morning is Aspen. We'll look at this on a 30-minute, and it's making a real, what did I do? Sorry about that. I don't know what I did there. Okay, it's making a real descending triangle here. Kind of perfect consolidation after what's been a ridiculously hard move to the upside. You can see that real support is down here around 387. If we drop 387, then I think we can obviously come lower, maybe even come back in at least to the 200-day. But this setup is a bullish setup. You get a nice run like that, you start to get consolidation, you move out to the right. That's a very bullish setup, and we get above 390, a buck or two above 390. I don't see any reason why this thing can't move up and take out the all-time highs again. And that's it for today, guys. Good luck out there.